Hello and welcome you all to the topic Psychological Testing in Guidance. Understanding and assessing the individual is an important aspect of effective guidance. There exist many accepted practices for the appraisal of the individual growth and development. Certain techniques give preference in understanding and evaluating the maturation process in terms of personal and social adjustment. Certain other techniques try to assess areas of core competence, attitudes, and aptitudes. There are many standardized objective procedures that would help to measure many different aspects of human behavior. They are called psychological tests, and they form an integral part of effective guidance program. Psychological tests can function as an important tool for data collection, but at the same time it requires extreme care and precision in administering, interpreting, and recording a test. This chapter tries to engage with some general aspects involved in testing and also tries to delve into some in-depth issues involved in employing psychological testing in guidance. Some general aspects of testing. Conceptual advancements in the field of experimental psychology have profoundly modified our understanding of the human behavior. Experimental psychology works with the principle of economy, which tries to keep biases at minimum and contenting itself with describing observed phenomena. Careful experimental methods help to conceive experimental designs and statistical techniques that could be carried over into more general settings and that can be replicated later. The basic idea behind experimental psychology is that behavior is distinct and it can be distinctly measured. So, development can be viewed as the organism's response to its environment. Testing in general adhere to this view of development. It treats development as a process. They represent an effort to apply in definite and uniform terms the principles and purposes of guidance and also provide a firmer basis upon which to predict human behavior. Tests in guidance are standardized instruments through which many different and diversified facets of behavior are measured scientifically. Standardization is a key process in the construction of a test as it helps to ensure reliability, validity, and increases the generalizability of the test results. To ensure the same presentation and to reduce subjectivity in scoring, each test has standardized instruction for administration and scoring. Testing is carried on in as free an environment as possible. Everyone who takes the test is urged to do his best under conditions designed to put him at ease. Under such conditions, measurement becomes truly fair and impartial. Tests can be classified into two general categories. 1. Those tests which attempt to measure objective aspects of behavior such as intelligence quotient, finger dexterity, and mechanical aptitude. 2. Those which seek to isolate and define such subtle qualities as creativity, motivation, and analytic skills, etc. These subtler qualities of behavior are far more difficult to test than are the more overt aspects. Performance is observable. The cause for this performance must be inferred. Nevertheless, the use of tests based upon inferences is increasing these days. Such tests tend to measure more psychological attributes than the externally manifested behavior and thus give more data to the test administrator on the causes and reasons of a behavior and thus contribute to the prediction and control of behavior. It also helps to prioritize among many reasons behind a particular behavior. For instance, take the case of achievement. There can be multiple reasons behind the achievement-oriented behavior. They vary from interest, potential, skills, stability, and integrity of a person. To decide which one is more crucial in particular instance is a difficult task, and tests can lend a helping hand at this instance. Many times, achievement in a career will depend more on such considerations as interest, integrity, and stability than it will upon job efficiency or prior school achievement. The important thing to remember is that test data are best considered on a continuum. Thus, for example, the difference between test scores and anecdotal reports is a matter of degree rather than kind. All data are used as a means for clearer understanding of the individual and his problem. Guidance work at schools can benefit hugely from the systematic use of psychological testing. The next section deals with the testing program within school environment. The testing program in school. Administering of testing is a strenuous exercise and requires the care and attention from the entire members of guidance team. The success of an extensive program of standardized testing in the school depends upon many factors. It requires the attention from authorities who are professionally equipped to do so. This is insisted to ensure uniformity and accuracy in administering and scoring. It is usually advised to formulate some mutually agreed upon policies and goals before the administering of the test. Thorndike and Hagen observe that the starting place of school testing program is the school and its curriculum, the staff and their needs. Of course, it cannot be expected that each single teacher will have seen in advance how test data are to be used in forwarding his activities in the class. Learning to use test information represents one aspect of in-service growth. They also observe that the test should respond to the local needs and should revamp the local resources to be effective. Planning phase should also ponder over the methods to bring in the staff into using and incorporating tests to their teaching and guidance practice. Meticulous planning is needed in deciding which types of tests are to be used and how they are to be used in the school. The fullest use of standardized tests can be ensured through the cooperation of staff members who are involved in implementing testing program in the school. Each member should participate in planning the program of evaluation. This helps to illuminate the objectives of the guidance program with regard to individual development. Testing also helps to reveal the specific abilities of each student and thus the school authorities to make plans to improve them. There are many more advantages to standardized testing. It makes possible individual appraisal in a fair and impartial manner. Given below are the preliminary considerations for a program of school testing. 1. The tests employed in the program should be selected and administered for specific purposes which are stated in advance. 2. The program should be undertaken cooperatively by the school faculty. 3. A comprehensive list of the procedures involved in carrying out the program must be included in the overall plan. 4. The program should be practical and definite. 5. The program should be continuous and long-ranging in scope. An efficiently supervised testing program works with the following steps: selection of tests, administering tests, scoring of tests, and recording and interpreting test results. Selection of tests. Guidance tries to elicit extensive range of information with respect to student abilities and functioning. The primary criterion for the selection of test thus should be its ability to elicit accurate responses on the ability or function it is purportedly measuring. It should be clear while selecting a test which aspect of behavior it is planning to measure and whether it measures it in relation to different aspects of personality. The major factors that determine the selection of a test is given below. Content. The test items must be consistent with educational objectives and should be appropriate to students. Comparability of forms. More than one form of the test must be available and these forms must be interchangeable and the results obtained must be comparable. Norms. The norms must be standardized as per the standards of the population under study. It should be controlled in terms of educational characteristics, age, grade, intelligence, and geographic location. Integration. The selected tests must be ready for incorporation to the comprehensive evaluation program along with the fitted companion instruments. Interpretation. Test results must be convertible easily to meaningful, useful form for further diagnostic analysis. Administration. Tests must have clear illustrations and complete and comprehensive instructions for administering and scoring. Administering tests. Once a test is selected, based on its above mentioned characteristics, it is the role of the teacher or counselor to administer it. The initial factors to be decided are who will administer the test, whether it needs a specialist's help in administering, and under what conditions a test is administered. Taking some training in test administration is strongly recommended for the teacher. The counselor is by definition trained in these matters, but he or she has lack of clarity regarding the particular test. Training is advised. After proper preparation, either teacher or the counselor can administer the test. If the counselor is doing it, the teacher can assist her in this duty. The test administrator should explain the instructions of the test in a clear manner. He should give enough time for doubt clarification in case if students express doubts. Vague or confusing instructions must be avoided. The administrator does not provide information that can affect the test scoring. He should reveal those aspects of tests which are essential for the successful completion of the test. He should not generate unnecessary anxiety too in the test takers. His explanation should place the test well within the academic process so that student won't find it as extraneous act that is introduced to assess or measure them. If it is an individual test, it is usually administered by a psychologist. To achieve optimum results, a test should be administered under the most adequate physical conditions possible. Scoring of test. Scoring of a standardized psychological test needs specialized training. So, usually the task of scoring is usually entrusted with the school counselor. With a little preparation, a teacher can score certain simple tests. Achievement test is one such test which can be scored and interpreted by teachers. Since scoring of a psychological testing is task which requires precision and accuracy, it is always good to give this duty to the staff members who have fewer responsibilities than teachers. Usually, tests carry clear instructions on how to do the scoring. Most of the tests also come up with detailed manuals that would guide scoring and interpretation of test results. With proper preparation, the scorer of the test can use these manuals to make scoring as error-free as possible. unity of testing. Testing is a suitable and effective method at present for theoretically isolating facets of behavior. For purpose of unity, tests should be chosen for use which measures these facets in terms of the larger goal, namely the optimum development of the individual. Tests should test what they are supposed to test, produce results which may be fitted into the instructional program. Furthermore, if tests are to produce practical results, there must be a uniform and accurate method of administration and of scoring. This uniformity and accuracy of administration and of scoring is expressed based on 4 different characteristics. These characteristics are essential for any measuring instrument to be effective. They are validity, reliability, objectivity, and usability. These characteristics are interdependent and complement each other in a well-designed test. These elements come together to increase the accuracy of the test. Validity. Validity of a given test gives the degree to which the test measures that which it is presumed to measure. The measure of a test is primarily founded upon the degree of validity. A test designed to measure a particular facet of human behavior cannot successfully measure another facet of behavior. Thus, for instance, a test designed to measure mechanical aptitude should not measure finger dexterity, though they accompany one another in most cases. A test has 2 types of validity. First is the face validity, where the test makers try to assess the connection each test item has with the psychological entity the test tries to measure through inference. The next is the statistical validity of the test, which is calculated through quantitative methods. Reliability. Reliability is the degree of consistency a test shows in the repeated administration of the test on different populations. A reliable test gives consistent scores whenever it is used. Reliability can be treated as the extent of agreement which emerges from the repeated administration of a specific test. The most popular method to determine reliability of a test is test-retest method, in which the same test is given twice to the same group and the results are compared. Another method is split half method, in which the odd numbered items and even numbered items are administered separately and the scores are compared. Objectivity. Objectivity is the key of standardized psychological testing. The attempt to establish objectivity should start from the stage of test construction. Objectivity implies the sources of bias are kept at minimum so that subjective factors cannot influence or alter the results of the test. The sources of bias can come up in the item writing, selecting, standardizing, and even in the phrasing of the items of the test. If a test becomes difficult for a particular ethnic group or cultural group, the test lacks objectivity at those fronts. Ensuring objectivity is very important in ensuring efficacy of a test. Usability. Usability of the test depends upon so many factors such as the simplicity of the test, ease of scoring and interpretation, kind of printing, and adequacy of norms. The usability determines the ultimate efficacy of the test. Functions of school testing program. There are many specific functions for a school testing program. One of the comprehensive pictures is provided by Thorndike and Hagen. As per their scheme, the major functions of a test can be divided into 3, namely classroom functions, guidance functions, and administrative functions. 1. Classroom functions. A. Grouping students for instruction within class. B. Guiding the planning of activities for specific individual students. C. Identifying students who need special diagnostic study and remedial instruction. D. Evaluating discrepancies between potentiality and achievement. Assigning course grades. Guidance functions. Reporting progress to parents. Building realistic self-picture. Helping the people with immediate choices. Helping the people with educational and vocational goals. Improving understanding of problem cases. Administrative functions. 1. Forming and assigning to classroom groups. 2. Placing students transferred from other schools. 3. Helping determine eligibility for special groups. 4. Evaluating curricula, curricular emphasis, and curricular experiments. 5. Evaluating teachers. Among them, the guidance functions need further elaboration. The emphasis upon helping an individual better assess his strengths and weaknesses in terms of potential contribution has increased the needs for testing programs. Though general programs on testing focus more on academic capacity and achievement, test results generally can help each student to understand himself or herself better, that he might take proper self-direction. It cannot be accomplished through just administering tests, scoring them, and reporting the scores to a person. To achieve the goal of building realistic self-picture, test scores have to be related to the experience of an individual. A score must be translated into day-to-day settings and must be explained carefully without using labels. The use of labels becomes an important issue in communicating intelligence test scores. The guidance worker must not use labels in front of students and their parents. Instead, should explain in realistic terms what it means to achieve a particular score in that particular test. The test scores can also direct the student in making some key choices related to career. There are tests that measure interest, aptitude, attitude, achievement, motivation, etc. Taken together, they can help the individual gain a better control over the decisions taken on the future. In addition to providing information which contributes to an individual's long-range planning for further education or work, a testing program can provide the information needed for immediate choices in the school. Let me summarize the major ideas in this session. This chapter tries to engage with some general aspects involved in testing and also try to delve into some in-depth issues involved in employing psychological testing in guidance. There are many standardized objective procedures that would help to measure many different aspects of human behavior. They are called psychological tests, and they form an integral part of effective guidance program. Psychological tests can function as an important tool for data collection, but at the same time, it requires extreme care and precision in administering, interpreting, and recording a test. Tests can be classified into two general categories. 1. Those tests which attempt to measure objective aspects of behavior, such as intelligence quotient, finger dexterity, and mechanical aptitude. 2. Those which seek to isolate and define such subtle qualities as creativity, motivation, and analytic skills, etc. A test must be selected based on its reliability, validity, objectivity, and usability. Once used carefully, tests can serve a major role in improving the effectiveness of classroom teaching, guidance program, and overall administering. Now, you can try to answer the questions given here. What are the preliminary conditions for understanding a good school testing program? What are the aspects that should be kept in mind while selecting a test? What is validity of a psychological test? What is reliability of a test? What are the different steps involved in the designing of a school testing program? What are the functions of testing program? For further reading and understanding, you can go through the books listed here. Guidance in Today's School, Mortensen G. Donald and Schmuller Allen M. 1962, published by John Wiley and Sons, New York. Guidance in Classroom, Strang Ruth and Morris Glynn, 1964, published by Collier and Macmillan Limited, London. Hope that you have enjoyed the session. We can meet again with another topic. Till then, take care.